Good afternoon, class. My name is Jenny Gallant, and I'm going to be refuting Samuel's claim that it is beneficial for primary schools to provide sex awareness in for children. And Samuel's secondary claim was awareness of sex will. Excuse me. Hold on one second. So sex awareness will reduce sex on the internet, or in other words, children access to pornography, stuff like that. And his secondary claim was sex awareness will reduce teen pregnancy. And his third secondary claim was sex awareness will reduce STIs. So for the first claim, for the overall claim that it's beneficial for primary schools to provide sexual awareness for children. Most teachers who will be given the task of teaching sex education for students are not experts on the material. They are usually either nurses or PE teachers or coaches. So their ideas may be vague about sexual health themselves. So this can be even more harmful. And incorrect information is extremely lethal, and it can actually leave a wrong impression on the children. So children having impressionable minds, as Samuel said, the incorrect information that can be imparted at an early age can actually transform them into ignorant adults, in turn harming them or making them more likely to spread an STI later on in the future, or more likely to have a teen pregnancy. And the fact that most schools teach sex education is treated like an extracurricular activity or extracurricular course, not a primary course. And just in secondary schooling alone, such as junior high and high school, the average is 3 to 4 hours of sexual orientation or sexual education. So which is very minimal, that's very small compared to other classes. So if an authorizing body is not serious about the class or the course, they cannot expect for students to be as interested and it be as effective. And going into his first claim, sex awareness will reduce sex on the internet. As of January 1st in 2015, all states were subject to have at least somewhat of a sex education class in their education. Nowhere in the criteria states that pornography or sex on the internet is in the criteria. So that kind of disproves that claim right away. Their secondary claim, awareness will reduce teen pregnancy. So in primary schools, which is considered elementary school, very few, if not come to none, are actually having sex or are getting pregnant. The rates of pregnancy, as stated, from 18 to 19 years old was 96 per thousand, while the rates of 15 to 17 was 30 per thousand. Now the majority of teen pregnancies, which is 69%, are occurring of 18 and 19-year-olds. So that's basically 70% of all teen pregnancies are 18 and 19-year-olds, which is the 96, and the rest, which is up close to 30%, is that other 30, which is 15 to 17. So the teen pregnancy isn't really a matter when it comes to primary schooling children. They're not the ones really being affected by it. It's the older crowd. And as rates have shown that teen pregnancy has already been dropping since early 2000s. And that has to do with scientific facts of the better contraceptives, the better birth control, not necessarily sexual education. And the third secondary claim was awareness of STIs. Sexual awareness will reduce STIs. As of now, 2015 in a RH reality check study done by Martha Kempner. There has been an alarming rise of STDs such as gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis in the states and countries across the United States. According to data released last week, health professionals attributed an uptick of numerous factors, including better testing and fewer efforts that are focused on STIs. And they agree that prevention is the key, but Minnesota overall sexual transmitted disease and infection studies have hit an all-time record high. And counties throughout California, Nevada, and Texas are all reporting rising rates of STIs as well. And that's to do with already secondary schooling educations. And Samuel failed to relate how impactful primary schooling will affect secondary schooling and the STI rates and pregnancy rates. He stated the comparison of the U.S. to other countries, but he never gave an example of why that is happening. He never gave specific evidence of that their education is better, their primary, if they even did have primary schooling on education, if that even had an impact on the STD rates or even when it came into play. So that is my view, and that is my refutation on the main claim of Samuel Rojas' speech.
All right, structurally everything's laid out okay. On the first point where you're basically saying that there's a lack of preparation by the teachers to teach this material, all of that is mostly asserted on your part. The notion that they could convey incorrect information or create further problems, make things worse, I think that's a good claim if you can find some proof for it. But I didn't hear any proof for it, except that your assertion that the people who teach these sex education classes are nurses and PE professionals, and I didn't even hear any proof that says nurses and PE professionals are not capable of teaching this material. So it seems to me like you've set up half of an argument here. You've got an idea that says that the teachers who are responsible for this are underprepared, but then you don't show us that they're underprepared, and that there's a potential that they would create mistakes or false impressions. And we have no reason to believe that that's the case. You don't have any examples. You don't have any experts that suggest that this is a possibility with teachers who are underprepared. So it really seems like it's, a shot in the dark you're taking here. And I think there needs to be a lot more development on that. The argument about sex on the internet, this is an interesting one. The notion is that there aren't any curriculum proposals or curriculum issues that address this issue. So even if we had more people in these sex education classes, they wouldn't be exposed to anything that would control that. Again, I think that's a good argument if you can demonstrate the premise here, and the premise is that there isn't any preparation for this sort of thing in the classes. And I think that you need to tell us how you know such a thing. You don't give us a source citation on that or any reason to believe that it's true. I don't know. It's been so long since I had any sex education. It would be hard for me to remember. And of course, there was no internet in those days, so they'd have to talk about something else. Did you guys hear that Playboy magazine's going to stop showing pictures of naked women?
Why?
Yeah, it's just going to be a magazine. I just thought it was kind of interesting. Sorry, that's a side note. I heard that story yesterday. The issue of porn came up, and here we are, and I'm going, okay. That's an interesting direction for porn to take, Let's have no nudity.
People are actually
There you go. Maybe that's the argument to make. Hey, the trend is away from this anyway. We don't have to worry about it. So I don't know. All right. The argument about the teen pregnancies, I think that's a good argument to be making that says, look, most of these teen pregnancies are occurring in the older students anyway, and so the real problem is not that we've got 12-year-olds who are getting pregnant, but that we have kids who are seniors and maybe juniors in high school who get pregnant, or even kids who aren't in school anymore getting pregnant. That's where the big problem is. And it's got to do with their sexual activity, not their lack of knowledge about those things, but their hormones, their ages, where they see their relational status going, that kind of stuff. And I think that's the best argument that you have here, where you've got evidence that really applies to that particular point. Again, I think we need some source citations on that evidence.
It's also, I have it, I just, for some reason, I never cited when I was
and that's a problem.
Yeah.
You need to get in the habit of doing that. The STI argument, I'm not sure how any of that helps you. I think maybe there's an argument here that says that there's, the same sort of thing. These things are going up despite the fact that we've had this kind of information, but I don't know that that's the argument that you're making. I'm guessing that that's the argument that you're making, and that needs to be clarified a bit. All right, I can see everybody is gearing up to go. We have one more speaker, but I guess we're going to have to plan.